Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, the Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at a brand new Tier 8 Soviet Premium Medium that is about to enter testing, the ST-62 version 2. It's honestly just very similar to what I would think of as a Tier 8 Object 907. We can see just from the design of the vehicle that the upper plate has this angular design that's curved, just like the 907, and that's exactly the same for the lower plate as well. This creates a very tricky angles and things that when you're trying to shoot at the vehicle, you might just ricochet if your shell flies a little bit to the left or to the right, depending on where you're aiming. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing this tank, talking about all of its statistics and things it has going for it, its armor profile, and I'll be letting you know how I think this vehicle will be when it's released into the game. So let's obviously start off with the gun. It's got 2,169 damage per minute, which seems to be okay. It's about middle of the pack when it comes to tier 8 mediums. The higher end is vehicles like the 59 Patton and M4 Rev, which are sitting more at like 2,500 damage per minute, and then you can get even higher if you look at like the Pershing and Indian Panzer, which are upwards of 2,850 to 3,000. So yeah, this tank definitely does not feature ridiculous damage per minute levels, but it's still not bad, especially when we take a look at the vehicle's average damage and see it's 280 per shot, which is pretty nice. What I still do find a bit odd is that mediums are still being put into the game with less than 200 standard pen. I believe that 200 standard should be the baseline for basically all mediums at this point in Blitz, and yeah, the premium pen as well is pretty mediocre at 240. Even if this is running gun rammer and you can run calibrated to get up to like 255 or 260, that's just still not a lot of penetration for what is a tier 8 medium, especially now that you're fighting so many buffed tier 8 heavies and, you know, so many other things. That's just really not a crazy amount of pen. The average damage is 280 on the standard, which is a pretty beefy shot, and 240 on the premium. So nothing crazy when it comes to the damage per shot. It's basically every other Soviet 105 or 100 millimeter, but it is still a pretty beefy chunk for tier 8. The aiming time is very long at almost 4 seconds, and the dispersion is pretty mediocre at 0.326. So far, we can see that the vehicle doesn't seem to be anything all that special on the gun, and that's the case for the gun depression as well, only sitting at 6 degrees. So yeah, the gun, nothing amazing at all. It's just an average Soviet gun. If we take a look at this vehicle's mobility, it reaches a top speed of 55 and a reverse of 18. So, okay, it's got a power to weight of 19, and the tank weighs in at 33 tons. So it's not a very heavy tank at all. I mean, this is actually a light tank on terms of, I would say, weight, but that makes sense because actually in World of Tanks PC, this is a light tank. So mobility-wise, the tank's not the fastest, and that's also to be expected when it is a Soviet medium vehicle. So yeah, it's kind of a weird tank because at least on paper, there's nothing really stand out crazy. But let's take a look at the armor profile. For a medium, this vehicle actually features pretty solid armor. It almost looks like a heavy when you're looking at it from this point of view. But it's not a heavy, because yeah, while the upper plate is decently strong against standard ammo, once you load premium, the entire upper plate becomes a pretty easy penetration, as you can see. But it's still pretty impressive how well armored this vehicle is against standard ammunition, and that is going to get you quite a few bounces from unsuspecting players. Especially because if you have almost enough pen to cut through it, you can see how troll this armor is. Like, certain spots are going to be bounces if you miss, one spot's going to be a pen. It's actually a really cool way the armor profile is designed. It's kind of like an Object 279E, if you're familiar with that tank from PC. Now, as I said, when loading premium ammo, the vehicle is definitely going to fall apart very fast, but again, if you're using just your 6 degrees of gun depression, the entire upper plate becomes impervious, which is actually really, really solid. So, because of the angling this vehicle features, it is actually quite a strong amount of armor, more than really any vehicle's going to have in tier 8. But the problem is the turret is kind of dookie, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the turret at strongest is like 200 to 190 on the turret cheeks, and that's everywhere. I mean, that's really not something amazing at all. I mean, the side armor is actually really good. Side scraping wise, you can see the vehicle's completely angled, and a really weird angle as well. You can see it from here. I mean, that's a weird design, but it's good. It means that if you're trying to shoot at this tank while it's on the move, you're probably probably going to get some weird and wonky bounces on the side of it. The whole entire hull has different angles and stuff on it, so this is definitely going to be a troll medium to aim at. The only problem I have with it is that we already have the Object 274A, which, as you can see from the design, is very, very similar to the ST62. I mean, yeah, the upper plate's not nearly as strong, but, you know, it is stronger, the vehicle, when it's hull down. And, by the way, the upper plate is still pretty good. It's around 180 on flat, so it's only about 20 mils less. And as I said, when you're using gun depression, first of all, this tank has one more degree of gun depression. And look at how much stronger this turret is. I mean, even without loading premium ammo, you can already see the difference in turret armor. And even loading premium, we can see, like, yeah, the turret is having weak spots, 203. But apart from that, this turret is just flat stronger than this one, which obviously you're cutting right through with only 180 to 210 mils a pen. So at least on paper, the 274A's armor seems quite a bit better. And if we actually wanted to take a look at the Object 274A statistics, we can just make our way into the Blitz garage. And we can see that the gun is basically the same. It's got the same aiming time, the same dispersion, basically the same damage per minute, the same penetration on both standard, premium, and high explosive. And if we take a look at the average damage, it's actually higher on this vehicle rather than 280. This is 30 higher at 310, which not only makes the HE much nicer, but it also just makes this vehicle harder hitting. It also features an extra degree of gun depression. Making our way over to mobility, we can see that this tank features the same top speed, better reverse, and a better power to weight. So it begs the question, what do you actually get out of driving the ST62 version 2 that you can't get from a 274A? This vehicle seems, at least on paper, flat out better on almost every single statistics apart from the slight difference on upper plate armor. Is that upper plate going to make a big enough of a difference to warrant the vehicle being purchased? No, not really, especially when it's most likely going to come out in crates for its first release. It just doesn't seem like anything special. I would highly recommend just to stick with an Object 274A, or heck, even a T54 Mod 1. This vehicle has been in the game for years and years, and it is still an amazing tank. It's got good DPM, similar dispersion and aiming time to the ST62, the same alpha, only 1 degree less gun depression, and the armor-wise is just much better. And we can see that right here on flat ground, just looking at the T54 Mod 1's upper plate. It's upwards of 220 millimeters thick, and the turret's around 240 on the mantlet, impervious on the edges. So at this point, it just begs the question, why is this vehicle coming into World of Tanks Blitz? I don't really know. Weirdly enough, actually, on PC, it's a light tank. So I really think that Wargaming should have stuck with it being a light. It would have been interesting to have a tank like the LT-432, but maybe a different playstyle with a bit of a different armor profile. Unfortunately, we're getting just another Tier 8 medium that plays like every other Soviet Tier 8 medium. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the ST62 version 2. But if you want my advice, I would highly recommend that when it rolls out into the stores, if nothing substantial is done to the tank from now until then, don't buy it. It's definitely not going to be worth the money. As I said, just get the Mod 1 or the Object 274A. Heck, even a T44 with the 100mm features a very, very similar gun. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and yeah, if you did, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.